Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Jesus and Coffee Conversations. If this is your very first time, welcome. If this is not your first time, welcome back. I hope that you all have had a great week and you are ready to begin your weekend. I am going to be talking to you today about faith. So if you do not have your coffee, press the pause button, go make you some and come on back. I have mine here in my Starbucks tumbler today. Make sure you have your pens, your Bibles, and your journals, and let's get started. So I already told you I'm going to be talking about faith today. So I'm going to start with the definition. And the definition is from the dictionary. And it's defined as complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And some synonyms are trust, belief, and confidence. So I do have my notes here because I don't want to forget anything that I wanted to talk about. So why is faith important? I believe that faith is important because it helps you in the midst of your trials. So when you have faith and you are going through something, if God, okay, so say you went through a test and trial before and God brought you out, that builds your faith. So when you go through something else, you're not worried. You might be worried for a little bit, but then you remember, hey, I went through something before and God brought me out. And the way that he brought me out before is the same way he's going to bring me out again. Or maybe it's finances. Maybe you lost your job or money is very, very tight. You have faith and confidence in God that God will be your provider. His name is also Jehovah Jireh, which means God provides. So when you have complete confidence in God that he's going to provide for you, then he will. And think about David and Goliath, or David versus Goliath, when you should be familiar with the story about that. But when David went to face Goliath, here he was, this little boy facing this huge giant with no weapons other than a slingshot, 3 stones, and God on his side. And he was not scared because he knew who God was. He had complete faith in God and that God would deliver Goliath into his hands. And God did. And think about Daniel when he was thrown into the lion's den because he was praying to God, and he wasn't supposed to be praying to God for a certain amount of days, but he did it anyway. And when he was thrown into the lion's den, he had complete confidence that God will deliver him. And even if God didn't deliver him, he still had faith in God. And the 3 Hebrew boys in the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they were thrown in the fire because they refused to bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar. And the fire, it was so hot that it killed the men that were standing there close by the entrance of the fire door. But it didn't burn or kill Shadrach, Meshach, or Abednego. God delivered them. So if you haven't read that story or the book of Daniel, go read it. It's a very, very good book of the Bible. They all are. And then in Hebrews 11 verse 6, it says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. So if you don't have faith, meaning if you are not completely confident in God, who he is, then you can't please him. And God, he only wants you to completely trust in him. He doesn't want you to trust in your job. He doesn't want you to trust in your spouse. He doesn't want you to trust in your money. Like, he wants you to trust in him and him only, because we all know that everything on this earth only lasts for a short period of time. So you shouldn't be putting your trust and your faith in your job. You could lose your job. You ain't not trying to, speak anything negative, but you and your spouse could get divorced. You could go through something where you lose everything. So you shouldn't put your trust in people and material things. You should only put your trust in God. And your faith is what moves God. When you have faith in God, it makes him move on your behalf. It's not you're crying and you're feeling sorry for yourself and all of that. Yes, God cares that you're hurting. Yes, he sees your tears and he comforts you during that time, but that's not what makes him step in and change your situation. It's your faith that makes him step in and change your situation. So I'm gonna give you a quick testimony here. I lost my job. This was about, I think, 5 years ago. I lost my job, and it was when I had I rededicated myself to God. So I was like, okay, I gave myself my life back to God, and then it was like, I don't know, a month later, all this stuff started happening at the place where I worked. And it was kind of like I could feel God telling me, okay, it's time for you to leave, but I was like, well, I'm not going to quit my job. Like, I'm not going to quit it and I don't have another one backed up. So I stayed. So long story short, all this stuff started happening. I lost my job and I wanted to cry. I did cry for a little bit. Like when I got in the car, I broke down, but then I heard God say, don't worry about it. I have you. And I stopped. I didn't feel sorry for myself. I wasn't crying myself to sleep at night because I knew that God would open the doors for me some way, somehow. And like 2 months later, he did. And I got the job, the place I work at now. And so that built my faith. So when you go through stuff, it builds your faith. And your faith, me having confidence in God and knowing that he was going to work it all out, is what made him move on my behalf. So I think that, I think about what if I didn't have faith in God and I was just feeling sorry for myself and trying to, apply for job after job after job and trying to do it on my own, I probably wouldn't be, actually there is no probably to it, I would not be where I am today. My faith would not be where it is today. So your faith, like I said, is what makes God move and step in on your behalf. And also your faith is like in Ephesians chapter 6 verses 10 through 18, it talks about the armor of God. And your faith is a shield that helps you stand guard against the attacks of the devil. So the fiery darts of the enemy, when you have faith, it quenches those darts. Will the attacks come? Yes, that's life. Like, attacks are going to happen. More so when you are saved, because the devil wants to do everything he can to make you turn away from God, but you cannot turn away from God. And so when you have faith, it blocks and quenches the attacks of the enemy. And so what builds your faith? Your faith gets built when God removes everything from your life that keeps you from growing in him. So you can lose jobs, you can lose relationships, you can lose your finances, you can lose a whole lot of things. And God does that to help you grow in him. If it's not helping you grow in him, then he's going to remove it from your life. And Jesus in John 15 verses 1 through 8, he talks about how Jesus talks about how he is the true vine and about the pruning process. So when you abide in Jesus and Jesus abides in you, you go through a pruning process of God stripping you of everything that does not bring glory to him and that keeps you from becoming who he called and created you to be. And the process is not fun. It is not fun. It's painful, but it's necessary to grow in God and to get you where God wants you to be. And then another thing that builds your faith, and I mentioned in a previous video, is tests and trials. Tests and trials come not to kill you, not to break you down, and they might break you down, but it's to build you back up stronger. It's not to break you down and keep you down. So when you are going through things, in James verse 1, I'm sorry, James chapter 1, verses 2 through 3. And I'm going to read it. It's the King James Version. It says, "Be joyful when going through, because your faith being tried worketh patience." So when you are going through things and your faith is being tested, it builds your patience because you have to be patient when you're going through. And it also, like I said, it builds you up in God and makes you trust God even more. So when you go through something and you see God come in and work it all out for you, that builds your faith. So you know that the next time you go through something, you're not as concerned about it because you've already been through something and you know that God has you and He will protect you. And if you're going through it, it's just a stepping stone to the next level in your life. And the higher you go in God, the more the attacks will come. And that shouldn't keep you from wanting to grow in God. It shouldn't keep you from desiring to do what He calls you to do. If anything, it should make you want to do it more. And I have a couple of people that I wrote down that were great people of faith in the Bible. And there are a lot of people in the Bible that are that were very full of faith. And I only wrote down a couple here. And the first one is the woman with the issue of blood. So in the New Testament, Jesus talks about, or he didn't talk about, but there was a woman in the Bible with the issue of blood. She's been bleeding for, I think it was like 12 years. She spent every dime that she had, and the doctors couldn't heal her. They didn't know what was going on. But she heard about Jesus and she saw him, and she said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, that she would be whole. So she had faith that if she did that, that she would completely be healed. And David, like I said, when he faced Goliath, he did not care how big Goliath was. He did not care that he did not have, this huge army behind him. He was like, nope, I have God, I have 3 stones, and I have my slingshot. And he took Goliath down. Abraham, he was a man of faith because he left his family to move to the place where God didn't even tell him where he was going. God was just like, pack up your stuff, leave your family, get your wife, and go, and I will tell you where you're going later. That takes faith, okay? I don't know anybody that's going to pick up their stuff and leave everything behind, and they have no idea where they're going. They just know that God told them to go, and when they start out, God reveals to them where they're going. That takes faith. Daniel, like I said about the lion's den, it took faith in God, knowing that God would deliver him. Noah, when he built the ark, there had not been any rain on the earth when God told Noah to build the ark. So people made fun of him. They were laughing at him, calling him crazy. And Noah had to have faith, knowing that God was going to send rain, even though they'd never seen rain before. He trusted what God said. Joseph was another man of faith. When he was a teenager, I believe, he told his brothers about this dream that he had about them bowing down to him, and they got so mad and jealous that they took him and and they dropped him in the pit. They were going to kill him at first, but one of the other brothers was like, no, let's not kill him, just leave him here, let him be. And so anyway, they sold him into slavery. And I'm not going to go into the whole story, but long story short, Joseph, what God told him he was going to do or revealed to him in his dreams, it came to pass. And he faced a lot of hardships along the way, but he never lost faith in God and that God was going to fulfill everything that he promised them. So those are a couple of people that I have that were of faith in the Bible. In Hebrews chapter 11, it gives you a lot of other people. Sorry guys, I'm struggling to get my words out today. It's kind of early this morning. But Hebrews chapter 11 is where they talk about all the people of faith in the Bible. and go check it out. And I hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or you want me to go in further detail, leave me a comment. I'll respond. Even if you don't have any questions or want me to go in further detail, just leave me a comment anyway. Make sure you give me a thumbs up, press the like button. If you are not subscribed, go ahead, press the red button and subscribe to my channel. And please continue telling others about my channel as well. And join me next Thursday as I talk to you about something new. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and weekend, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you again. Bye.